Dragon Ball Jiro's Failed Plan. This is a what-if series that will take place in the time skip between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, where Goku and Chi-Chi lived peacefully in their home upon Mount Paozu and had their first son, Gohan. During this time, Jiro had just finished making himself an android, and had a few prototypes to fight Goku, but Jiro didn't feel it was good enough. Suddenly, an idea had sparked in his head. Jiro thought he wasn't going to get anywhere by creating artificial power. It simply wasn't real enough, nor did it have the capabilities of breaking its own limits. So Jiro took one of his more successful prototypes and began to look for the Dragon Balls. He and his prototype, I don't really have a name or a design for this at all, probably won't even be imagery, who knows, had no problem looking for the Dragon Balls. And Goku, fortunately for them, didn't have the 4-star ball at that time, or so I'm just going to say. So after gathering the Dragon Balls, Jiro made his wish. He asked Shenlong for a mighty warrior, one strong enough to beat Goku, to be made for him. Fortunately, as we all know, Shenlong is not capable of this, and he in fact replied, "This wish is beyond my power." Jiro took a moment, and again, after recollecting his thoughts and fixing his frustration, he wished for a child with grand fighting potential to be conceived on Earth. Shenlong, realizing his intentions, had complied with the wish. With a twist, of course. Jiro wouldn't know where the child was. He couldn't control this child, and Shenlong made sure this child was pure of heart. Afterward, Shenlong, in a condescending tone, replies with, "Your wish has been granted. Farewell." Jiro, realizing what had happened, was enraged and furious, so he went back to his original plan. But instead of just making robots, he would of course find out a way to use humans so they would have natural key abilities. And so this would mark the beginning of a new tale. A new warrior, well, of course not much younger than Gohan, and his name is Yakitori. Don't make fun of me for the name, which in translation would mean grilled bird or grilled chicken. And so we skip ahead to age 762, which would be the Namek Saga, while Goku and the others are fighting Frieza. Yakitori is having his first day in kindergarten. Yakitori is admiring nature, for he cares about nature and is trying to call to one of the birds before he is rudely interrupted by a couple of bullies. They ridicule him for taking interest in something so dumb. Yakitori yells at them to leave him alone. The more angrier kids shove him, prompting the other kids to join in. Yakitori, still young, screams in anger and his ki is rising, but no one could be aware that his power level is rising at all. It does rise to 15, which I know may not seem very strong, but you guys do have to remember the average power level for an adult would be 5 to 10. And then he punches the one that instigated first, right in the gut. Fortunately, he didn't really punch anywhere else and was satisfied with just that, otherwise the kid probably would have died, to be honest. He immediately calms down, but obviously the kid's in the hospital for quite a few weeks after a punch like that. And let's just say he's obviously not back in kindergarten, and staff and even all the students are fear him and calling him a danger. Even his parents end up leaving him after discovering such a horror. And for a while he cries, and after a couple of weeks, they're barely scrapping by in the streets, he gets over it. And so, we skip to the year of 763, where the Namekian Dragon Balls are being used to revive the Z Warriors. After a long time on the streets, which I guess isn't that long, it's only a year, but you know, it would probably seem very long. He sees a lot of bad, but yet at the same time, he knows the more to life of what he sees. And due to all of his struggles in the streets, he has become stronger, but not by much, with only a power level of 22. And is feared to the streets as an undefeatable monster. He grows sick of the street life and realizes there is more. He eventually ends up leaving the town and wanders for days and runs into a forest near a mountain. Being the nature-loving kid that he has decided to live there, and after 3 months, he has grown accustomed to the forest life and enjoys it, growing even stronger with a power level of 25. Eventually, one day, while Gohan was wandering deep into the forest, wondering where his father had gone off to, and, all upset, wondering why he didn't want to come home, he ran into Yaki and started talking to him. And at first, obviously, Yaki was reluctant and even considered attacking him. But then he decided against it. They got along really well, and Gohan had noticed he was stronger than most people, even if only by a little bit, and decided to try training him. After 3 months of this, Gohan had become stronger, but not by much. His power level only went from 2 million, at the max, and increased by 15,000, which once again isn't really much. Meanwhile, Yaki went from 25 to 550, learning key control, flying, and studying the things Gohan was studying. And he had learned a lot and calmed down from his attitude of his tough life, and Gohan even introduced him to his mother. And at first, obviously, Chi-Chi was very upset. Gohan was wandering around, constantly out, and he'd suddenly brought home some smelly stranger inside their house. And after explaining Yaki's story, obviously leaving out the parts about training and, all that, she was glad Gohan had found a friend and offered Yaki to stay at their house for a while. Well, Yaki obviously debated it with himself at first. He eventually graciously accepted. And for 6 months, Gohan and Yaki had trained and learned and formed a brotherly bond. Now, obviously they've been training a lot, so Yaki's power level has reached 900,000, and Gohan reaching around 2.7 mil at the max, obviously. And I know it seems like Yaki grew incredibly strong, but you have to remember, one, he's training with someone with a power level of over 2 million, and two, he's supposed to be an untapped potential. Well, I mean, he's basically like a human Gohan, which is kind of why I thought I would make them get along so well. It just seemed to make sense. Anyway, Gohan obviously senses Frieza's power level and gets a call from Krillin. And I think that's where I'm going to end this scenario. And if you want more, let me know. Otherwise, until next time, Shaggy Azul, signing off. Well, post-editing Jason here, and let me just say, one, this fucking sucked. I am very tired, and I was panicking because I didn't have a video or a stream out today, and I had a really bad case of the sniffles the entire time, so I had to, edit out a bunch of mistakes, plus, sniffling every, 2 seconds. It was a big mess, but I hope you guys enjoyed.